Hello, this is a free assessment of a Bluthner Style 4A grand piano that's 5 foot 5 inches long, 1936. Bluthner Style 4A are excellent pianos and very good small grand pianos. The keys here are pretty much perfect. There's just one small chip here. The piano's at concert pitch, and the tone there, if the hammers were refaced or replaced, that would be improved, but it's not too bad. The bass strings are reasonable. If they were replaced, that would be better, but they're in reasonable condition. One peculiarity is that the key dip, this is a key dip measurer here at 11 millimeters, it's just over 11 millimeters. I like to set them at about 11 millimeters, which is slightly deeper than the average, but I think most musicians tend to prefer that. But here, if we look, we can see that the key dip is much greater than it should be. And looking inside, we can see why. Strangely, here we can see the felts are there, and this one here has no felt at all, and that's why the key dip is so great. There's several of them like that. And the curious thing is that all the felts are on the side here of the piano, so somebody's been playing around with it. Now, these are the original hammers, and they're pretty flat on the top surface here, and certainly if they're quite soft as well. If they were refaced, although they're quite far gone to reface, it might be possible. We're replacing them as the best option. If we replace them, we also replace hammers, the shanks and the rollers. Here's a Steinway action with new hammers, the genuine Steinway hammers, shanks and rollers. There's the shank, there's the roller, which is the other wearing part here, and the hinge now is going to be even throughout, so that's very important. In actual fact, on the Bluthner 4A, the hinges are reasonably tight. They're not any sign of looseness at the moment, so they'll probably will get loose after about 20 years, and then it will be great to change the hammers, shanks and rollers. Now, because the rollers here have become flattened, and also other felts have compressed, the hammers are resting on the rail here. They should be about there. They could change the rollers, would be the best idea. You can regulate without changing the rollers. It depends how the key feels, really. When the rollers are very flat, then it feels rather clonky here as it sets off. The back checks here are not too worn, but the piano looks like it's been tuned and never really worked on in all its life. There's a very slight lift on the springs there. There's a general need of regulation. The hammer height, as we say, the hammers need to be lifted off, and then it'll play much more sensitively. There's a bit of out of tuneness here, so I thought I'd test the tuning pins, and the tuning pins are relatively tight. If we restrung the piano, we'd replace the tuning block here, especially that's quite an easy job to do on Bluthners, and that would make them really tight, but they're tight enough, they're not too much to worry about, as long as the central heating isn't too high and there's not underfloor heating. If you have underfloor heating, then someone really needs to look at that, see how you can compensate for it. Strings are all there with no breakages. The original strings, they would benefit from changing, though they sound reasonably good as they are now, and the soundboard is in good condition, very good condition indeed, in fact. The soundboard from underneath, someone's got what we call a hydroseal unit here to try and help humidify the piano. However, it seems to have got forgotten because it's got no moisture in it at all. Piano stool that came with the piano is a little bit high for me. It might be a good idea to get an adjustable stool as well to sit alongside the piano and just to see what height you prefer to be. And the casework on the piano, the polish is relatively even throughout. It's quite faded, but faded very evenly. There's the problems on the top here. This could really benefit from repolishing, though. With about a day's work, it would probably improve it a lot as well. Here's another Bluthner ground that we've repolished. We apply about 30 coats of French polish. The process takes 70 hours in all, with preparing the piano and then polishing it. And then we finish off with an antique wax to give it, to bring out the best in the grain. Here's another repolished piano. This is mahogany. Now here's the Bluthner again. It would look really, it has a lovely mahogany wood, and we know that from experience it would come out really, really special. So what about the tone of the piano? Well, the flat hammers mean that it's a very, very pleasant, warm sound there. It's not got the bite it would have if you put new hammers on, but remarkably good, really. And round this area, it would benefit from new bass strings, but they're still pretty resonant. So in summary, regulation, definitely. Hammers, you can't really reface them, they're too flat for that. They need replacing if you're going to do anything. And then obviously that would affect regulation. That's a long job to do because you've got to re-weight everything. Keys are in good condition. They hardly need buffing. Those felts, well, we'll obviously get the felts put right underneath here. So thank you very much for listening. That's an assessment in transit. We assess all pianos in transit that come through, all high quality ones, to see what sort of work might improve the piano.